So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another idea, something that's going to help you make changes in your life to finally ditch the diet for good, stay healthy, stay in that healthy weight range. But if you've got weight to lose, get rid of it. That's what it's all about for me. It's about just some tips and ideas that'll help you be able to do that. Now, today I want to chat about a cruise that I just went on. So myself and my wife took ourselves away and left our kids at home, who aren't that small anymore, but we left them and we headed away on a cruise from Melbourne to Tasmania for 4 nights. I think it was 4 nights, and it was a ripping experience. It was really, really good. It was quite flat water, and so we have no complaints about feeling sick or anything like that. It was super, super smooth. But as you can imagine, I'm not here to talk about all the shows and lifestyle on a cruise, but I do want to talk about the food component of a cruise. Now, for those that have been on a cruise, you'll be well aware, very well aware, that there is copious amounts of food on a cruise. I think the average weight that people put on a cruise is somewhere between 5 and 10 kilos. And that's because there is just endless supply of food and endless supply of alcohol. Now, I'm not an alcohol drinker at all, but it was interesting to watch how much gets consumed on a cruise. It is nuts. And people are constantly drinking all day. They'll start at 10 a.m, they'll go to the evening, and that's cool, do your thing. But most people, like I said, sort of put 5 to 10 kilos on a cruise, and it's very easy to see why. I just want to talk about, I guess, what I saw and what I witnessed on the cruise, and really leave you with a couple of tips of what you might be able to do when you're in that situation on a cruise. Or it's not even about the cruise, it's about choosing good food everywhere that we go. I think in a cruise environment, I could just see it at a really heightened environment, almost like food on steroids, because it's just endless supply, and people then eat way more than what their bodies actually need. And then so that's why everybody puts on weight. It's really simple, right? It's really simple. Weight gain always is quite simple, but sometimes it's painted out to be a lot more complicated and, mysterious than what it really, really is. So what did I witness? One of the places, the main area was called the galley on this cruise, and the main food area, it was like a food court. So, you had your Mexican, you had your noodles, and you had all your different types of food or different cuisines, and you could go there and just order whatever you want. So it's unlimited, and there's no cost associated with it for the most part. So you just order whatever you want, and you go back 10 times if you really want to. And it was always interesting that looking at which food areas had the most lineup. And you could probably guess pretty quickly what had the most lineup. But one that didn't have the most lineup was the healthy options. So I remember one day I got a chicken salad, and it was, I didn't have to wait. Where if I wanted to go and get whether it be the burgers or the sweet stand, which had all the donuts, and there was always a lineup, a much, much bigger lineup for that, and enormous amounts of that food being eaten over and over again. What's always fascinating to me is not just the size of the portions, but how often people go back for more and more and more and more. And this might sound judgy, and people can do whatever they want, but for me, who plays in the space of food and eating and health every single day, it's observation is fascinating to me. And so seeing not many people at the healthy area, but seeing a heap of people at the non-healthy area was really interesting. So one example was the ice cream stand. So there was an ice cream stall that had, a bunch of different flavours, but it was open not quite 24 hours, but getting close on. And the line was often out of the door. Like, I'm talking 50, 60 people in the line just waiting to get their ice cream. And it was just constant flow of people that were constantly eating ice cream, which is, once again, it's cool, but there's impact to doing that all the time. There was also a pizza place that you could go to and order a pizza whenever you wanted, lines out the door. Like, it was always super busy. And so the challenge is with that sort of amount that's there, it's very hard at times for people to stop because it tastes good. And I think that's my first point, is that what I witnessed or what you watch when you go on a cruise, I've been on a number of cruises, is that it goes from eating what your body needs to kind of gluttony. And that gluttony causes enormous problems in our body because we gain weight, which is not good. That's not what we're after. And so my first sort of tip in any situation that you're in like that, whether it can be an all-you-can-eat anything, anywhere, doesn't have to be on a cruise, or you might just be out for dinner and you want to keep going back for more and more and more, think just about this one thing, and that is just because the food tastes good doesn't mean that you need more. And because if we keep going back for more, we're going to get, the result that we don't want, which is weight gain. And it's really interesting. I've recently been talking to lots of people who have had a similar type of message, and it's been a little frustrating where they've told me that they've got thyroid issues or they've got these other issues in their body, but then we drill down further and because they can't figure out whether they're gaining weight, we drill down further and we get to their food and their food's terrible. But they think it's something else because that's easier to process and that's easier to think about. Oh, it's something else, it's not me. But as soon as the food changes, all of a sudden magically their bodies change as well. So just understanding the impact of eating more and more food. We only need one portion. We don't need, one serving of a plate is so much food. We don't need any more food. Remember, 70% of Australia is overweight. Nearly 3/4 because we want to eat more than a plateful, or we want to eat more than what we should be eating just because it tastes good. So we've got to resist that urge. Just because it tastes good, it's completely irrelevant. Yep, awesome that it tastes good, but don't keep going back and back and back and back and back because that's not going to help you in any way, shape or form either. And the drinking on the cruise was fascinating to watch. There was so much alcohol consumed incessantly. I know people are having a good time and they're doing their thing, but it's just huge amounts of sugar and huge amounts of calories. And I think sometimes alcohol consumption, because it's so socially acceptable in Australia, it's not taken into account into the actual eating. And the eating, it includes your alcohol, and alcohol actually contributes significantly more, generally speaking, to your overall daily intake of calories than what your food would, because it's so dense in calories and so high in sugar. So I want you to really think about that part of it as well. It's not just the food, it's the alcohol as well. And the second tip that I want to leave you with is if there's a spread of unhealthy options available, like there is on the cruise, bucket loads, truckloads, so much food, it's off the chain, and unstoppable amounts of food. If there's a large amount of food that's available, I want you to think about the second tip that I have, which is fill up on the healthy stuff first. So if you want to go down the path and have a chocolate or some chips or an ice cream or whatever the heck it is, understand that food will make you fatter. Like, that is the cold, hard truth, what that food does to your body. So we want to make sure that we avoid that by not eating as much of that stuff. I never talk about portion control generally, because if you eat the right food, you can eat heaps of food. You don't need to worry about portions. But if you're eating crappy food, then you've got to be careful with your portions, because the more you eat, how far, more weight's going to come on faster and faster. So if you fill up first on really good food, make a deliberate effort to get lots of good food in, then that's going to allow you to have just a little bit of room left over in your stomach for some of that food that's not really food at all. It's product that's disguised as food. So you want to fill up on plenty of good food. So if you've got an opportunity at the buffet, eat the chicken salad, eat a big portion of it, have plenty of water, and then go ahead and grab some chocolate or whatever. You're not going to have much room for it, and so it's not going to have as much of an effect on you. So they're my sort of, couple of tips for navigating, whether it be an all-you-can-eat buffet, a cruise, any environment where there's just lots of food on offer. Could be at your friend's barbecue. It could be at your mum and dad's dinner, their Sunday dinner or their monthly dinner, whatever it is. There's heaps of food on offer. Don't just keep going back. One portion is all we need. We need one plate, that's it. When we go above that, just understand the impact. Straight away, there's an impact. So fill up on the good stuff first. So number one, just because it tastes good doesn't mean you should have more. And secondly, fill up on the good stuff first. They're my tips for today. Hopefully it's helpful to stay eating good stuff and don't go nuts just because it tastes good. But you can still have some of the crap stuff occasionally, but not loads of it. You got this. Stay on the track, eat good stuff, don't go nuts, don't eat heaps when you don't need to. One portion's enough. One plateful, that's all we need. We'll talk soon. See you later.